Let's review Melgeek new Tri-Mode low-profile mechanical keyboard made for Mac, the O2. I'm ArtIsRight. Full disclosure, Melgeek sent me this keyboard for me to review. No other monetary compensation have exchanged hand, and all the opinions you're about to hear regarding this keyboard are solely going to be my own. I have reviewed more than a handful of keyboards on this channel, and usually I pick up those reviews either because the keyboard has an interesting aesthetic design, which this one does, or it integrates in seamlessly with operating system, which this one also does as well. So when you take this out of the box and you pair it with your Mac or iOS using Bluetooth settings, the top row function key would integrate directly into your Mac or iOS without the need to install any additional drivers. I think that is really great, and this is really a more Mac-centered keyboard that way. In addition to this, they also have really a Mac nostalgic design that's very similar to the early 2000 iMacs with all those translucent case and everything. It's a really pretty looking keyboard, and I also really like the KO key they use inside here too. But before we get into all of that, I also do want to mention that even though this is more of a Mac-centered keyboard, it will also work with Windows and Linux operating system and also Android devices too. In fact, Melgeek have also included keys that you can swap and change based on the operating system that you're using, and they also include a short function key too that you can change the way how these function keys are working with different operating systems. So that's also something that's really good to know. Now, a quick thing about Melgeek is that they have been doing this for more than a decade now, and they have been making mostly mechanical keyboard for gaming with a lot of RGB colors. In fact, this keyboard does have really cool RGB colors too, so you can see all the keys are lit up from behind right there. There's light on the side, and at night, because the translucent casing that goes around it, this have a tendency to pretty much light up the entire case going around, which is actually a really cool aesthetic design. As I mentioned, you get the keyboard, you get the extra keys, you also get the 2.4 gigahertz dongle, which is a USB type A. I really wish the Melgeek would include a USB type A to USB type C dongle too, because if you really want the users to be using this with a laptop, all Mac laptops are now shipping a USB type C. And majority of PCs, laptop now, many of them are coming with USB Type-C only. I'm sure there are many of them that still ship with USB Type-A, but it would just be nice if they just included that extra dongle in the package. It also comes with a key remover. So the way how you simply use this is pretty much slide this under the keys like so, lift it up, and now you can pretty much replace the keys with the operating system of your choosing. You can see how the light is actually showing behind the keys right there. These are the Kale sunlight switch, which I really do like the sound. I'm going to show you how this functions in just a moment. Let me replace that key back. The other thing you do get in the package are a little sticker with their logo and the O2 quick start guide. Now, if you're getting this keyboard, I highly recommend going through the quick start guide because it will tell you a lot of intricacies with the keyboard. For example, the indicator light, the mode switch, the keyboard light setting, function setting, and all these stuff. The reason why this is important is because the keyboard itself have a tendency to lean on the very minimalistic design. So a lot of it beyond just the front facing part, you're not going to really know how to access all those extra functions via the function key, or even if the light indicators in the front here, what they really mean. So that quick start guide is definitely going to help out a lot. Now, the feedback to Melgeek for this keyboard would be, I would say maybe minimize the aesthetic design a little bit and add some verbiage to it to make this keyboard and the light indicator a little bit more verbose and easier to use for users who may not necessarily be opening the quick start guide when they get one of your keyboards. Now, in addition to that, you also get this plastic but really nice soft plastic USB Type-C to USB Type-A cable. This is used for either direct connection or to charge the keyboard. So again, this is one of those where I wish they would just include a USB Type-C to Type-C, if not include a dongle, so you can use this with your Mac without having to find an extra cable. That would be good. And also a little Easter egg is that on the Type-C part, it says good typing. It's pretty much like embossed into the cable. On the USB Type-A part, it says chicken dinner on both sides. Not sure why that's there, but I just thought that was some interesting factoid about this keyboard. So beyond that, first what I like to do is talk about this Kale sunlight switch a little bit more and show you some typing samples so you can really hear the sound of this keyboard. So I'm going to do that right now. So this keyboard is a low profile mechanical keyboard. It does have that click, but the click is a lot more subdued and it's not quite as sharp. And I really like this a lot because it's not so clickety and it still has a nice good tactile feedback to it. Now this is a 10 keyless keyboard, so you don't get the number pad key. And pretty much on the key itself, I already mentioned it has an aluminum frame going around it. And beyond the aluminum frame, this is pretty much a translucent case that when you turn it on and the LED light on the side is on, it can act like in a darker environment as pretty much like your keyboard is like floating. It looks really cool. On the back of this keyboard, you pretty much get this really nice, clean aesthetic design. And this, the way how they have envisioned it, their engineers, is to be used on top of a MacBook Pro. In fact, I have my 16-inch MacBook Pro and pretty much a whole bunch of other Macs to kind of just show you how this would look like when you have those stacked on those machines. Now, if you want the keyboard to prop up a little bit more, it doesn't come with like the prop up leg or anything, but it comes with these magnetic TPU pad that what you can do is just push these down like so, lift it up and just move it to the side, and these are linked up to the keyboard magnetically, so they're not going to fall off, but they're not the strongest magnetic either. But it works out pretty well to just bump up the height of the keyboard. When you're done, just slide them back into their own storage slot, just like that. But otherwise, everything is really nice and clean. However, what I would probably say is that if they could minimize some of those function key in a quick start guide and just print it on the back of the keyboard here, forgo the minimal aesthetic a little bit, I think that would be great because it makes this keyboard, like I said, a little bit more robust instead of just being really just minimalistic. On the very top, if the keyboard's facing you on the left side, you have the USB Type-C connector and you have this three-way switch. So all the way to the left, it's going to be Bluetooth. All the way to the right, it's going to be 2.4 gigahertz. And in the center there, this is pretty much using the keyboard in hardwire mode. Although I really wish this keyboard switch was a little bit different, because if you put it into Bluetooth right now, trying to toggle it back into the center where the keyboard position is a little bit difficult. So that's just something that I note from just using this keyboard. On the very bottom, you have 3 indicator light. The far right light, this is pretty much telling you what type of connection you're using. For example, if I have this link up to Bluetooth, you can see that it's showing blue right now. It's showing a light indicator in the middle. That's pretty much the battery status. And all the way to the left side of things, this is pretty much the caps lock key. Now, if you didn't know this, you probably would not figure this out because it's not that verbose, right? Unless you've gone through the quick start guide. A little wording on there would definitely help. In fact, what some keyboard manufacturers should do is put an OLED, an organic LED screen in there that's just black and white to just show us the status of the keyboard. That would be really awesome. Now, another thing to note about this particular keyboard too is that the keys are sunk into kind of like this well thing. So it's not a really bad design or anything. Just note that the dust are going to collect on the inside and debris over a long period of time. So make sure you do a pretty good job cleaning out your keyboard or blowing out your keyboard every now and then. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of dust that's pretty much just like sitting in a bowl inside this keyboard because the keys are not floating on the keyboards themselves. That's just the main thing to note about this. So with this in mind, let's quickly jump to their website. This is pretty much just the keyboard. These are the pricing for the keyboard itself. And primarily the way how they have designed this is just to go with super simplicity. Like I mentioned already, it has 3 different modes of connection: Bluetooth, a 2.4 gigahertz dongle, or direct wire. And the battery does last for a very long time. So if you're using this keyboard, for instance, in a Bluetooth connection, I believe the battery is supposed to last 3,600 hours. Yeah, or 3,300 hours. And if you're using in 2.4 gigahertz, it lasts 1,800 hours. So Bluetooth is definitely the way to go. And because this links to my Mac right now, I can pretty much go in and control the Mac by doing the brightness up, down, and so forth. I can control the volume of my Mac. It integrates directly right in, which is something that's really good. So what I like to quickly show you is how this keyboard is going to sit on your Mac should you want to use it that way in the event that you don't want to use this on a desktop. So let's do that right now. I'm going to pull, starting out with my 16-inch MacBook Pro, and let's get this aligned. So you can see that the keys themselves, when you have it on a keyboard, it doesn't depress any of the keys that are already on there. So that's a good thing. They have thought about this fairly well in that regard. And you can still use the keyboard instead of using your Mac keyboard. So if you want to do that, you can. So this is a 16-inch MacBook Pro. And what we're going to do is we're going to go up in scale, or starting with the smallest one. This is a MacBook Air M1 and also M2. You can see with this MacBook Air, it does work. Although you are really going up all the way to the edge of the screen, and it's a little bit harder to see the bottom of the screen there on the laptop because you also need some room for this trackpad. Now, if we move this up to a newer generation, MacBook Air that started with the M2. Let's see how this looks. A little bit better, a little bit more room. The keyboard does still stick out on the side of the device a little bit, and it still goes up all the way to the screen in order for you to clear the trackpad, but it certainly still works in those configurations. And now let's take a look at a 14-inch MacBook Pro. I just showed you the 16-inch in the very beginning. So this one is a 14-inch MacBook Pro. And with this, it does stick out on the side of the device a little bit there. It does go up all the way to the screen, but you can still see the bottom of the screen without any problems. And it does clear the trackpad. So this would still work just fine. And lastly, we're going to take a look at this on a 15-inch MacBook Air. So I like the way how this is going on a 15-inch MacBook Air. It works really well. Like I said, none of these, it really depress over any of the existing keys on the keyboard, which is exactly what you want. You can push this up, you can see the screen fully, and you can also still have access to the trackpad. So everything is performing really well as it should right there in this regard. Now, personally, I would not necessarily use this on the keyboard the way how they have shown. I would personally just use it, for example, just like here and have the laptop right next to me, but that's a matter of personal preference and the way how they thought about this design. Now the keyboard itself has a pretty good polling rate of 1000 Hertz, and the weight of this keyboard is 600, I believe it's 650 gram, which is around like what, 23 ounces, or like a little bit over 1 pound, like 1.4 pounds or something like that. So something to think about there. I think this is more so a keyboard that you would just leave it permanently on your desk, but it does work pretty well. Now in my testing of this keyboard, when I linked this up to the computer using Bluetooth, everything functions just fine without any problems. However, when I was using this keyboard using the 2.4 gigahertz dongle, because my environment that I'm in has a lot more interference and a lot of devices that are using 2.4 gigahertz, I do note that some of the keys do repeat sometimes. For example, you type something in, it shows up a few times in computers. So just something to note there. If you're using the 2.4 gigahertz dongle, I would just make sure that it's pretty much clear of interference, or it's pretty much within a decent line of sight with the keyboard itself if you're using the 2.4 gigahertz dongle. As far as hardwire goes, this works fine without any problems. Now, what Melgeek have also done is create their own custom software solution called Melgeek Hive, and you can download it from their website here. And they also have like a keyboard tool or KB tools, which is the old version, but mostly it focuses on the Melgeek Hive. There's a couple of things about the way how they have designed their website, which I think needs a little bit further clarification. For example, for a mechanical keyboard, please download the Hive app below. And here are all these links. And it says dongle functionality is temporary unsupported. And there's an issue with saving macro function IDs on mechanical keyboard. Okay, so this is mechanical keyboard. Now, what I like to know is this dongle functionality when I'm using a 2.4 gigahertz dongle, is this an issue on the Mac only, or is it an issue on a PC or Mac and PC, multiple different OS? It's not really clear in this regard. Now, the other thing that I'm going to show you is I'm going to customize this particular keyboard using Melgeek Hive software. And even though the keyboard is linked up to my Mac right now, as you can see, using Bluetooth connection, Hive software doesn't necessarily see the Bluetooth keyboard itself. So what you have to do to get this to work is to plug in the keyboard in while the switch is still in the connection mode that you're using in order to customize and program the keyboard. Now, because they did not include a USB-C to C, I am using my own Thunderbolt cable, so I'm going to plug that in. And this will also act as a charging cable for your keyboard too. So the moment I plug this in, we can see that the Bluetooth keyboard is now plugged in, and it's now taking the power. It's telling me that the power is at 96%, is using a Bluetooth connection, and it says C2. And the reason why it says C2 is because with this keyboard, there's a function key, and you can quickly press between function 1 to 8. And this will switch quickly between 8 different computers or 8 different devices if you want to do that. Now, trying to keep track of 8 devices is going to be something that's very interesting. So I would do a good job just memorizing or just writing it down somewhere that device 1, device 2, device 3 is this. This is why I was saying if they include an OLED screen, it would make it a lot easier for this. Now, from here, what I can do is go in and customize the keyboard. So I can click on that, and this will pull up the keyboard. So I can customize all these function keys as you see right now using key code. So I can do extended function key, OS, mouse, macro function, and also all these special functions right there. And this is pretty much just the way how you can control each different keys. Now, I'm going to be totally honest. I haven't fully mastered the way how to use these particular software yet and these function key. I find them really confusing for me. So keyboard fundamentally out of the box work with the Mac just fine. If you want to go in and customize a key, I find this not as intuitive and not as easy. Now this is not anything different from Melgeek than many of the other companies are out there. And Melgeek also has a web version of this Hive too, very similar to other companies, and it's also pretty much like this. Not the most intuitive to use software for keyboard customization. Now, let's go and take a look at lighting. So with lighting, the way how they have designed this with the bar going down the middle is a little bit confusing because it almost seems like if you choose black light, the control for the backlight part is only on the left side, and when you choose mood light, the control of it is only on the right side part of things. But realistically, what this is are toggles between the two different modes. So you would control the way how the lights are functioning on the left and the colors on the right side of the screen. So some UI changes, I would probably maybe draw a bar or something like that across to just distinguish this a little bit more, because for me, it looks confusing at first, although I did pick up on it fairly quickly. But anyway, what I can do are all these different colors on the keyboard. You can see them reflecting on the screen and on the keyboard too. It might be a little bit bright in the studio, so you may not be able to see that, but I'm going to set mine, for example, to magenta, and I can do a couple different modes. For example, I can do gradual, where it actually goes up and down. I can do it like breathing, so it's going to go brighter and darker. So there's different ways that you can go in and control this, change the brightness and the speed, and also the direction too, if you want to do that. You can also choose to do random colors. I mean, if you really want to go and customize it that much, this keyboard has that customizability for it. And there's also the mood light. The mood light are pretty much the light that are showing up on the side of the keyboard. Right now I have an L1, which is green. I can turn it into purple or orange and so forth. So what I'm going to do is let's put it into blue and let's bring the brightness up all the way. You can see that I can control the brightness, and it takes a moment for it to reflect. It's not like dynamically as you pull it up, it gets brighter right away. Not like a volume switch or anything like that at all, but it does work. So that's pretty much the lighting function of this keyboard, where you can go in and customize it. There's the advanced function. These are all the different function keys that you can use to control your system. The macro mode, which I try to record, but it hasn't been really working well for me on this part. So again, like I said, not the most intuitive part to do like custom function keys and so forth. And the setting of the keyboard, which tells you a couple things. Right now, the keyboard initially when I plugged this in was 96, now it's at 98. So it's charging the keyboard right now. It tells you the electric current, the voltage is going in, the remaining charge time until it's full, the battery temperature. It also tells you the device name, software version, all these little things that you may or may not want to know. And there's also this mode one. So the mode right now, even though this is showing as wired and wire is highlighted, is showing that link chain that's disconnected, and this is connected by Bluetooth. So if I go into Bluetooth, I can change the device name, I can change the auto sleep time and so forth. But with this, you know, you can change like a different mode. It's not the most intuitive design when you get into the setting part. And lastly, I'm going to quickly check the firmware update. So online update, I'm going to click on that. This is very interesting. My computer can go online, and on the version check, it says the current network is abnormal. Please try again later, and then ignore. So my guess is that it's trying to tell you that you're running on the latest version and everything is good and you don't need to download a new firmware. So some broken English that needs to get fixed in their software. But like I said, I will probably download Melgeek Hive software just to customize the lighting function on a keyboard. And when I disconnect this, the keyboard disappears from the Hive software, but it still works on the computer without any problem. I can still go in and type. And if I turn this keyboard off, this is the part that the three-way switch is not the easiest to put it into position. So I turn it off and you can see the lighting is not on. I turn it on again. It keeps my lighting preferences that I have from before. So yeah, it works. What do I think about this keyboard? I really think that if you like this Kale Sunlight low profile mechanical keys, if you like the Mac functionality, if you love the aesthetic, the LED lighting of this keyboard itself and the way how they have designed this, it integrates into the Mac really well. I love the function of it. I love the sound of the key. I think this is an overall really good keyboard. However, if you really want to go in and customize this keyboard, especially for creative, if you want to go in and add in macros, custom function key and so forth, I really think that their software needs a little bit more working on that part. So that's what I think about this O2 keyboard. If you have any questions or comments, please share them with me. Give this a like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you're new. I'm Art, and I thank you for your time.